Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Dennis Brown, and I'm thankful that you're here for my Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today, I'm going to share with you my number one tip for building a $10 million plus freight broker business. So if you want to stick around for that, hang tight. Actually, during that training, I'm actually going to share with you how much money you as a freight broker would make if you hit $10 million in gross sales, how much you would actually stick in your pocket if you were able to hit those numbers. And so we're going to talk about that. Again, that's what I'm going to share with you today. So here's the agenda. We're going to do some quick shout outs. So hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'll try to do some shout outs as you guys get live. Number two, after that, we're going to do the training. Okay. Then we're probably going to do a giveaway. Maybe we'll do a Freightpreneur t-shirt, maybe some cash. I'm not quite sure yet. And then last but not least, we're going to if you guys stick around to the end, we're going to do live Q&A. That means you can ask me any questions you have about becoming a successful freight broker, freight agency. I will do my absolute best to try to answer those questions. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. We've got some people that are rolling in. So welcome. Al Sadiq from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome Carlos from Houston, Texas. Welcome Corey from Chicago. Rodney from St. Louis. Courtney from Pennsylvania, Kevin Perry from Raleigh, North Carolina. So we got people rolling in from all over the place. Again, hit me in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. Try to give a few quick shout outs as we get some people live. And then we're going to jump into the training. And again, today I'm going to share with you my number one tip for building a $10 million plus freight broker business. All right. And it's probably not what you think. All right. It's probably not what you think. I think you might be surprised. Some of you might not. But yeah, I decided to actually do this because I got a question from a follower on LinkedIn, this exact question. So I sat down and I put some notes on paper and here we go. So let's see. That's what I'm going to share with you. So Trey got game from Beckley, West Virginia. Mohammed, welcome. Jim Hand. Hey buddy, how are you? Cold and icy Illinois. Richard from Brunswick, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Mohammed from Sacramento. Oh yeah, stay warm, brother. It's cold here. I'm not sure if it's as cold as Illinois, but it's cold as hell here. We've been cold. Been in the single digits and teens for basically the last week or so. We didn't get crushed as much with snow. We had some people in the area, some areas south of us that got really hit hard, but you know, we're still swinging. Even though everybody's down in the dumps today because the Bills lost. I didn't even watch the game, but the Bills did lose, I guess, unfortunately. Anyway, Corey from Billings, Montana, as always. So thank you guys for joining me. Again, I do these Freight Broker Bootcamp Lives every Monday at noon, and they're 100% free. You notice there was no, paywall or credit card asked for. You didn't even have to put your email address in order to come to these free trainings. So all I would ask from you is do me a huge favor, spread the word by, number one, hitting the like button. Boom. If you want me to come back and do these weekly trainings, hit the like button now and share the stream. Let other people know about it. I don't go out and do a whole bunch of paid ads or paid advertising. That's really not what we do. All of our customers, we've had over 10,000 customers go through the Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program. We've had over 700, I don't know, it was 700 to 800 go through the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, and almost all of them came through word of mouth. Okay. So appreciate any help you can give us there. Hit the like button now, and then obviously share the stream. Richard, welcome. The Chiefs, huh? You're a big Chiefs fan. David from Armenia. Cool. All right. Listen, here are my notes. I got a lot of notes. Okay. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And so I'm going to be referring to these notes throughout the training. And again, the agenda, just so everybody knows, the agenda is we're going to do the training. If we have time, we'll do a quick giveaway, right? Maybe a Freightpreneur t-shirt, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. And then we will do live Q&A. Okay? So that's where we're at. Let me grab a quick drink and we will get the show on the road. Let's see. Light group today. Oh, well, a lot of people will catch it on replay, and that's cool. Awesome. All right. So let me get my wits about me here, and we will get the ball rolling here. Okay. So today, my number one tip that I want to share with you for building a $10 million plus freight broker business is, okay, you got to hold on a minute. Let me give you a little bit of context, and then I'm going to share with you not only the tip itself, but I'm going to share with you how much you as a freight broker could earn if you were able to hit $10 million in gross sales. So how did I come on this topic? Why am I answering this question? Why is this the topic for today's live training? Well, the fact is, I got a message from a follower on LinkedIn asking me this exact question. He said, how can I build a $10 million freight broker business? So I sat down and I put pen to paper and I started jotting down some notes. And what I realized after about 30 minutes of giving this some thought was that it really comes down to one key thing, one key tip, one key strategy, one thing that you absolutely positively must do, or you will never hit $10 million in sales. All right. And the answer, while simple, is really no secret. Okay. So don't get mad at me once you hear the answer and don't click away. Let me explain what I mean in detail. Okay. And I think it will all come together. And again, at the end, I'm going to share with you, if you did hit $10 million in sales, exactly how much you could make and put in your pocket as a broker. Okay. So my number one tip to build a $10 million freight broker business is you have to learn to be an investor. Okay, so let me explain, okay? I'm not talking about investing in the stock market. I'm not talking about investing in your 401k. I'm not talking about investing in crypto. I'm not talking about investing in real estate. I'm talking about during your startup phase as a freight broker, you need to invest. When you get your first shipper as a freight broker startup, you need to invest. When you're in the middle of a freight boom and freight rates are skyrocketing and there's a lot of demand from shippers, you need to invest. When you're in the middle of a downturn, a financial downturn or a recession, you need to continue to invest. When you just landed your biggest shipper ever, you need to invest. When you just lost one of your biggest shippers, you need to invest. Hold tight here. I'm going to put it all together. So you're probably asking me right now, what am I going to invest in, Dennis? What do I need to invest in? All right. Again, it's not crypto. It's not real estate. It's not the stock market. What you need to invest in is there's some key categories here. Number one is skills. Number two is tools and technology. All right. Number three is people. And number four is systems and processes. Now, those are not in necessarily the hierarchical order, excuse my English, but yes, those are the things you need to invest in. So I'm going to give you a quick roll down from startup going beyond into those later phases and give you a little bit of a roadmap here for doing this. Okay. So first, as a startup freight broker, freight agent, you need to invest in skills, right? You need to invest in learning the industry. You need to learn to invest in sales skills. You need to learn to invest in negotiating skills, organizational skills, leadership skills, things of that nature. You need to invest in skills. That's the reason why I put the Freight Broker Bootcamp together, which is my startup program. And that's the reason why a few years ago, I launched my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But that is where I teach you my entire freight broker sales system for getting shippers. And it was allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker. We'll talk a little bit about that on the back end. But skills is number one as a freight broker startup. Okay. After that, you need to find the right tools, the right technology. Things like a TMS, right? Like a transportation management software, like load boards, right? Like CRMs, software, which is readily available and very, very cost effective, right? Very inexpensive these days. Most of you probably don't know this, but I have personally invested over $1 million. Our business invested over $1 million plus, it's way beyond that, but over $1 million in building our own technology. And if I had to do it today, I wouldn't repeat that. I would just buy other tools off the shelf because they're amazing and they're readily available. Okay. So beyond tools, At that point, you need to build or find the right onboarding systems. And this is where we get into systems for onboarding carriers and onboarding shippers, right? We're not going to dive too deep into that, but this is where the systems come in, right? We talked about skills, we talked about technology and tools, we talked about people and systems, right? So now let's call that phase one. In the next phase, when you start going beyond phase one, right? This is when you need to bring on the right people. This is when you need to start investing in people, right? You need to invest not only in the people, but you need to invest in their skills, their ability to negotiate, their ability to be organized, their ability to sell, right? Customer service, communications. You need to invest in those skills, right? For your new people. So first you have to find the right talent, hire them, and then invest in their skills, just like you invested in yours, right? And then number 5, you need to train them and teach them how to use the tools and systems that you've put in place. So I know this all seems very logical, and I tried to put it in such a way that it was very easy for you to understand why investing in skills and tools and systems and people is so important. Because the reality is, if you want to build a $500,000 or maybe even $1 million freight broker business, you don't have to do all this. Okay? If you're really good at selling and you're a hustler, you could build a 7-figure business without doing a lot of this stuff, right? Without hiring people and without getting real elaborate. Okay. But if you want to build a $10 million plus freight broker business, it involves investing in all these core areas. And so here's what I want to share with you. Okay. But Dennis, how much can I personally make if you did $10 million in gross sales? Well, let me break it down for you really quick. If you did $10 million in gross sales, and let's just assume a very average margin, right? Just kind of middle of the road, 15%. Let's say it's full truckload freight and you're making 15%. That would mean that you would have about $1.5 million in gross profit. Now that's before expenses. Okay. So now we're going to factor in some expenses here, right? If it was you as the broker and you had, say, 3 to 6 people on your team, maybe doing dispatch and some accounting and some operations, right? Let's call it 5 people, which is very doable. All right. Let's say you had 5 people on your team helping you do this. That would, and you took out, let's say, for example, an average of $100,000 compensation for each one of them, which it wouldn't be that high. So I'm estimating high, which is $500,000. Plus another $100,000 in operational technology systems, things of that nature, right? Maybe an office space or whatever you're going to do. So a total of $600,000 in operational cost and all your cost. That would leave you about $900,000 in EBITDA, what's called earnings before interest, depreciation, and taxes. That's your profit before taxes, right? So of course you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam on that. And that's could be expensive, but ultimately you're going to get a W-2 or you're going to generate $900,000 in income. Now, this is just an example. And this is based on my personal experience running a brokerage. This is based on my personal experience in helping other people grow their brokerage, but it is not a projection. It is not a promise. It is not a guarantee, because here's the reality of you. Most of you watching this right now will do nothing. You won't do anything I'm talking about today. And that's okay. Maybe 10% of you will do a little bit, right? And you'll see some benefit, but you probably will never hit $10 million in sales. But a small percentage of you, and it might be you listening right now, are going to hit $10 million in sales. And you're going to see how being an investor, the importance of being an investor and the power of compounding interest, right? By investing in those key areas. Again, investing in skills, investing in tools and technology, investing in people, right? And investing in all those core in systems, right? That's the last one, right? So I just wanted to share with you again, that's the power of investing. That's the tip that I want to share with you today. You have to take an investor's mindset. When sales are up, you invest. When sales are down, you invest. When things are good, you invest. When things are bad, you invest. And you invest in those four core areas, and you will have an opportunity to grow a $10 million freight broker business. Now, if you're curious, well, first of all, let me share this with you. I'm about to open up my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Now, I told you I was going to share with you a little bit about that. That is my 5-week Freight Broker Sales Coaching Program, where I take that piece of my brain, I transplant it into your head, everything I know about Freight Broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, and I share that with you. Everything that I used in order to do over $200 million as a freight broker, all right? And it's a 5-week coaching program. I'm about to open that up. So it's waitlist only. It sells out every single time. It's going to sell out this time again. So if you want to get on the wait list, you got to, let me pull up the place here. You go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Now you'll get on the wait list. You'll get a follow-up email, tell you exactly what you need to do. And then from there, we'll give you the announcement. You'll be the first one to know. And then at that point, you can join, right? Getting on the wait list is free. The program is not free, okay? So you will have to invest, right? See it? Hear it? Can you feel me? All right. Now, if you're not ready for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you're just looking to get started, right? You're still trying to connect the dots, become a freight agent, become a freight broker, and you're really in the early stages, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've trained over 10,000 students there. Many have went on to build 6, 7, and even 8-figure businesses. And we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. We are known to be the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program available. You can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Hey, make sure you hit the like button, share the stream, and I'll see you next week on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right. Hey, stick around if you want to be a part of the free drawing, the free giveaway, and or the Q&A, right? Because I'm going to do both of those here in a minute. Let me catch my breath. I was talking pretty fast. Hopefully I came through loud and clear. I hope you guys caught that. Thank you, William, for the nice words. William says, join both programs and it's worth it. Awesome. Thank you so much, William. I appreciate it. So William was a part of my Freight Broker Bootcamp, and he's also been a part of my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. So yeah, thank you very much. All right, cool. So hold tight on your questions. No questions yet. We're going to do a quick giveaway. All right. And then we'll jump into questions. So give me 1 minute. All right. First of all, before I jump into that, I got to ask your feedback. Please be honest with me. Okay. I'm a big boy, right? I got thick skin. What 1 to 10, 1 meaning, Dennis, this was a waste of my time. 10 meaning I loved it. It's perfect. Thank you so much for the training, the tips, the inspiration. Please rate it in the comments 1 to 10. Let me know if I'm hitting the mark with the content that I'm trying to provide for you. Again, I've got hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel, hundreds. I don't know what it is, 200, 300 or more. And those are all free trainings you can access. So you can go to Freight Broker, just go to YouTube and search for Dennis Brown Freight Broker or Freight Broker Bootcamp, whatever you want. You'll see the channel. You can see all those free videos. But what I want to know is, am I hitting the right content, the right information, right? Was this worthwhile for you? You've spent probably 15 or 20 minutes here with me, and I've shared what I think is the number one key, the number one tip to hitting $10 million in business. Some people would have pointed to, oh, it's this sales script, or it's learning how to negotiate, or it's hiring freight agents, or and those things are all very important, but they are not the key to success. The key is you must be an investor. You must take an investor's mindset. One of the things that I see startup freight brokers doing is they get their first shipper, they start making a little bit of money, they start generating a little more profit than they have expenses, and they start sticking all that money in their pocket, right? In the old Hip National Bank, rather than investing it in future growth, in new skills, in new technology, in new people, in new systems, right? And so what happens is they get stagnant, and they probably won't hit $1 million, let alone hit $10 million. But I want you to understand, $10 million is very doable if you take this type of a long approach and you become more of an investor. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Good feed. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad I'm I'm glad I'm giving you guys some good value. Please hit the like button and share the stream. I really appreciate it. I'd love to spread the word, let other people know about these weekly live trainings. All right, let's do a giveaway, okay? Let's do a quick giveaway, all right? We're going to do a cash giveaway today. We're going to do $50 cash, okay? I'm sure that you could all use that, put it in your gas tank. It probably won't fill your gas tank these days, but we're going to do a $50 giveaway. And then after that, hold your questions, because after that, I'm going to jump into Q&A, but hold your questions, okay? All right, cool. So here's all you got to do. Here's all I want you to do. Ugh. All right, sorry guys, hold on 1 minute. Sorry, I lost you. Hopefully you guys can see me now. Okay, am I back? Can you guys see me? I have no idea what happened. I must have bumped something that was very fragile. Let me know. Can you guys see me? Hit me before I talk about the giveaway. Tell me in the comments if you guys can see me and hear me. I hope. Okay, good. All right, good. Sorry about the glitch there. I don't know what happened. Oh, I hope the audio was right. Damn, I might have had that wrong. Okay, sorry. Okay, so here we go. Here's all you got to do. If you are, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Pull up your phone, your mobile phone, Apple, Android, I don't care what you're using. And I want you to go to your favorite podcast app. On Apple, that's Apple Podcast. On Android, that might be Spotify or Google Podcast or some other podcast or music listening app. And what I want you to do is I want you to type in Freight Broker Bootcamp, okay? You type in Freight Broker Bootcamp and you're going to see, again, you're going to see my bald shiny head and the logo there, right? Freight Broker Bootcamp. And we have a free podcast. It's free audio training. I think we've got, I don't know how many we have. We've got a shit ton. Over 100 free trainings on here, okay? Audio trainings. What I want you to do is rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and then come back in to the comments here and let me know you rated, reviewed, and subscribed, and where. Apple, Android, Google, Spotify, wherever. I'd say that 90% of the people that listen to us on Apple or Spotify, because both of those are free, obviously. And so, yeah, if you do that, come in, that's going to enter you in the contest to win $50. Okay, $50 cash. And yeah, so do that right now. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, and then come back in here and let me know, and I will enter you to win $50 cash. I'll PayPal you the money in the next 24 hours. Once we get everything confirmed and I know where to send the money to. And that's what we'll do. So Cynthia's in. All right, sweet. So rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, whether you're on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're at. And again, this podcast is absolutely free. We've been ranked by Apple as one of the top 100 entrepreneur podcasts to listen to, okay? Out of tens of thousands of entrepreneur podcasts, we've been ranked in the top 100, so we're very blessed. And we owe that all to you guys that listen to it, because it's really driven by that. And it's the best of the best free audio trainings that I've done in webinars and podcasts and trainings and coaching sessions and all. It's my, Q&A sessions. It's all my best content for you for free. And so if you could rate, review, and subscribe, then come back into the comments and let me know. And again, rate, reviewed, subscribe. That's what we need to hear so that I know where we're doing this, okay? If you don't type it that way, rate, reviewed, subscribed on, and then you give me the platform, you can't win, right? You got to follow instructions, important. So we're going to wait about 1 more minute for people to get enrolled, or for people to follow the instructions. And then at that point, I'm going to go into live Q&A, but hold your questions, because if you type your question now, it's going to get lost in the stream and I won't answer it. Okay. But hold your questions. I want to get to these questions really quick. We're going to jump. Okay. So we've got time. Good. All right, cool. So you got about another 60 seconds to go in for a chance to win $50 cash. And then we will jump into the live Q&A. Who else is going to rate, review, and subscribe the podcast? Who else is enjoying the podcast? Do any of you even listen to the podcast? I mean, we get like 8 or 10,000 downloads a month. So somebody's listening to it. I don't know if the people in the live are, but I would think that some of you would be avid listeners of the podcast. So I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to give you $50 for free just for showing up. But it looks like you guys are a little sleepy today. We got a small audience. So here's what we're going to do. You got 30 seconds. And then we are going to do, all you got to do is open up your cell phone right now. Open up your Apple phone, right? Right. And just hit the podcast app. It's free. Search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. Pull it up, rate, review, subscribe. Boom. Come back in here. Let me know. And you will get a chance to win $50. All right, cool. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. All right, so here we're going to do the giveaway. All right, so I'm going to scroll through, close my eyes, and it's going to land on one listener, and the listener is Cynthia Moore. Cynthia Moore is the winner of $50. Congratulations, Cynthia. You deserve it, my friend. You show up pretty much every single week to these lives. You've been a student and a follower and a part of the community, so thank you so much. Here's all you got to do. You may have even won a shirt in the past. I think you did. Here's all you got to do to claim your $50 prize, so you can stick it in your gas tank, or maybe go out for a nice lunch or dinner. So on LinkedIn or in the Facebook group, I think we're connected on LinkedIn. If we're connected on LinkedIn, message me your full name that you won the Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast, or you won the podcast subscribe $50 giveaway. That's all you need to, and then let me know your PayPal email. So your name, your PayPal email, and that you won the podcast subscribe $50 giveaway. Now, if we're not connected on LinkedIn, we can connect there, or you can go on my Facebook page, Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, like the page, message me there, the same thing. Your name, you won the $50 podcast subscribe giveaway, and your PayPal email. You have to have a PayPal email, otherwise I can't send it to you. Okay? So that's it. Congratulations, Cynthia. Thank you all for playing along. Now, if you have questions about today's training, about past trainings, about something I've never talked about before, or something that I probably have talked about 100 times, feel free. I will try to answer all your questions. And if I don't know the answers, I'll try to point you in the right direction. So go. There you go. Let's see what questions you guys have. I'll try to get to as many as I can. You guys might be a little sleepy today, so maybe there's not a lot of questions, which would be good because you can all get back to work. I can get back to work, but I do want to try to make sure that if you do have questions, we get those answered as quick as possible. All right. Okay. Figueroa asked, JP Figueroa, big fan here in San Antonio. How long before AI eliminates the need of brokers? AI, in my personal opinion, will never eliminate the need for brokers. Now, will technology and will AI play a role in logistics, trucking, transportation, freight brokerage? Yes. Yes, it will. It's already playing a role and you don't know it. Okay. They have AI behind load boards. They have AI in TMS products. They have AI in CRMs. AI is not going to replace brokers, not going to replace agents. But like anything else, when I first started my freight brokerage in 2003, the average freight broker was operating high tech for the average freight broker, right? The average small freight broker was an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Didn't even have Google Sheets back then, but Excel spreadsheet, right? So times evolve, technology evolves. That means entrepreneurs need to evolve, right? And so AI is a tool. It's not a person. It's not a replacement. Now, there may be certain roles where AI can replace certain people. But let me give you an example. Let's take something that's not related to freight brokerage, and I'm going to give you an example. I read an article about AI replacing, what was it? Like an architect. okay? Like an architect that draws and drafts buildings, okay? So here's the thing. AI will definitely be a part of the architectural industry. AI software will be a part of drafting software and a part of the software and the process. But AI will not replace those people because, number one, there's a lot of potential issues associated with that, right? If you design something that's flawed and then somebody dies in that situation, then obviously they can't blame AI. They got to have somebody. So you got to have somebody who's certified to oversee the AI, right? So to me, AI is like the hammer, right? But the hammer is only as good as the hand that wields it. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. And I think it's the same way in logistics, freight brokerage, transportation. So good question. And thank you. Thank you for asking. All right. What other questions, guys? Maria made it to the live. Awesome. Thank you. Maria. Myra. I probably murdered it. My vision is not so good these days, and the font is really, really small. Ascend, HubSpot, Apollo would be all you need. Yep. Good point, William. All right, Richard has a question. What's the best way to start when you have credit barriers affecting your startup? Okay, well, I don't know specifically what you're talking about. I'm assuming you're either talking about your personal credit is not good enough to get a freight broker bond, or it makes your freight broker bond very expensive. I'm going to make that assumption. If not, you can re-ask the question and be more specific. If that's the case, the best thing you can do, and I've said this a million times, is start as a freight agent. I highly recommend people start as a freight agent. Here's why. Less risk, less requirements, right? And if you can't make money as a freight agent, you're not going to make money as a freight broker. It's just way easier to be a freight agent. And it's a great place to start. Fact is, you can get paid 50 to 70% of the profit on every single load, and you have zero risk. The broker takes all the financial risk, right? The broker takes all that risk. So the reality is, and they've laid out all the capital to do that. Plus, you have to have a whole bunch of more skill sets as a broker than just as an agent. And so I highly recommend starting as an agent. Now, once you build a book as an agent, you can choose to either stay an agent and grow that agency, or you can choose to break off on your own and become your own broker. You can always do that at some point, right? After you've rebuilt your credit, after you've put yourself in a position where you're ready to take that leap. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. Awesome. Okay, cool. What other questions? What other questions we got? Freight broker startup, freight agent startup, marketing, sales, whatever. Just so you guys know, and listen, while we're in a little bit of a lull here, if you guys are struggling to get customers, or if you have a fear of sales or cold calling, or you need a coach, you need somebody to help you, right? In the sales and customer acquisition side of the business, get on the wait list. It costs you $0. You'll get notified as soon as the program opens up. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to open up here within the next week. Okay? You're going to get a notification. You will get first dibs to sign up, right? This is a 5-week group coaching program where I work with you personally and teach you everything I know about my freight broker sales system, help you implement it in your business. And many of those students, we've had over 700-800 students go through that program. I think we've got, out of all the people that have completed the exit survey, we do a survey, like a 6 or 8 question survey after they've completed the program. And they ranked this program as a 9.2 out of 10. I mean, I tell everybody, we'd have been happy with a 7, ecstatic with an 8, but it's a 9.2. Right? It's almost impossible to get those types of reviews. I promise you. I've been doing these courses and these programs and online training for a long time. A 9.2 out of 10 is unheard of, right? And we've had 700-800 students already go through that program. And this year we'll probably have another 1,000, okay, that'll go through that program. So, so definitely get on the wait list. But Again, if you're looking for startup help, then you definitely want to go to Freight Broker Bootcamp. If you're looking for a little bit more advanced and specific sales training help on how to get customers, that's when you go to the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. All right. Question from William. Is it wise to warm your emails before you use them? Please be more specific, William. Come back in and be a little bit more specific on what you mean. I don't want to make any assumptions. I will definitely try to answer your question, but just be a little bit more specific. Okay, Richard asked, can you work as a freight agent even being a broker? Well, I guess theoretically you could. I'm just not sure why you would. If you're a freight broker and you already got your freight brokerage and you're licensed and you got your authority and you've got all that, then you can operate as a freight broker legally at that point. Now, freight agents are not required to get their broker authority, and they typically don't have their broker authority. They work under a licensed freight broker. So I'm not sure why you would, but I guess potentially you could theoretically. I hope that helps. Let me see here, and have 4 or 5 emails as well as domains. Have to wait for 4 or 5 months before you start emailing with them. Okay, so William's talking about doing kind of like mass emailing, right? He's doing a lot of cold outreach through email. And a lot of that really depends upon the volume of emails you're sending. I'm not a big believer in doing mass emailing. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not a believer in cold calling or cold emailing. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean I'm not a believer in cold emailing. I'm just not a big believer in finding, buying a list of shippers' emails and then using some sort of software to send out, 500 or 1,000 or emails a day or a week. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the one size takes all approach where you're sending the same email out to everybody, because the reality is that's not the most effective way to do any sort of outreach. So if you're doing, I think realistically, if you want to use cold email and you want to use LinkedIn, I think if you send 20, 30, 40, 50 a day, and you use that as a part of your sales cadence, which is a big part of what I teach in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. If you use that as a part of your sales cadence, what you're going to do is you're going to increase the number of contacts that you have. And again, we all know that sales is a contact sport, right? So if we're not talking to people, we're not dialoguing with people, we're going nowhere. That's the primary goal of outreach. So I'm not sure if you have a spin-off question from that, but that's my initial take on it. Okay, yeah, I think so. I made the right assumption. When you have an email campaign, you're sending out 100 emails a day and you don't want them to go to spam. Again, I don't like the one size fits all where you're sending out the same email to hundreds of people. I'm not a fan. But if that's what you choose to do, what you probably are going to have is multiple domain names that you are setting up, because if you take the approach that you're talking about taking, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to report you as spam, right? Because they recognize that this is a one size fits all approach. They recognize that you're just sending out a mass number of templated emails, right? Your templated email is never going to get the same sort of open rates and or conversion rates than me sending out a customized email. Never. It's just not. Okay. So, so you will probably have to have multiple domains. You'll have to rotate through those domains. And so there are people that do that in different industries, but I'm not a fan. Just me personally. Okay. As far as starting as a freight agent, how do you start with getting loads, or would this be working with one broker? As far as starting as a freight agent, how would you start getting loads? Okay, so if you are starting as a freight agent, you're working under a freight broker as an independent contractor, and you're on straight commission getting 50 to 70% of the profit on any loads that you generate. Your first step is one, to get trained. Okay, you got to get trained on the lingo and the processes and on how everything works and how to vet carriers and how to bring on shippers and how to sell and how to use load boards, all the basics, right? So number one, you got to get trained. Number two, once you are trained, right? Then now you've got to go out and sell. You got to go out and start a dialogue, start a conversation with a potential shipper in your niche, right? So you got to find a niche. That's kind of a part of the sales process, part of what we talk about in the sales accelerator. And so, so you got to do outreach. That outreach either comes, we've talked a couple already, it either comes through email, it either comes through LinkedIn, or it can come through a cold call over the phone, or it could be face-to-face if your niche is local. So at that point, you're going to interface with that prospect. You're going to start building a relationship. You're going to identify a need, and then you're going to try to solve that problem, challenge, or need that they have. And then you're going to bring on that customer, right? That's how you'll get your first load. You're going to have to quote the freight. You're going to have to do some of those things. I hope that helps. I'm pretty sure that's the question you're asking. If not, then hit me up with a follow-up question. Yeah, okay, good points. Craig Hunter, hi from California. Thank you for joining. All right, any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. And William, just to kind of talk about yours, you're saying you're using this as a follow-up with cold calling. Okay, so that's fine. Again, that's fine. But I'm not sure that I have, and again, my system. You are part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. I'm not a big fan of Smile and Dial doing 100 or 200 or 300 cold calls a day. I'm much more in tune with quality over quantity. That's why the cold email strategy that I have is a little bit different than yours. And that's why the Freight Broker sales system is a little bit different, right, than most people teach. So, I like the idea of trying to warm up a prospect with an email or with a LinkedIn message and then following up with a cold call, because it is using a sales cadence. It's using a multi-touch point outreach strategy, which I like. I'm just not a big fan of the generic one-size-fits-all email approach. That's all. And if you didn't do that, you wouldn't need multiple domains, right? Because you're not going to be sending out that volume. Sending out 20, 30, 40, 50 a day is probably not going to have the same sort of issues. Link to my Freight Broker Freight Agent course. Just go to, if you want to join the Freight Broker Bootcamp, okay, for startups, just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Okay, let me see. Do I even have a link in here preloaded? No. Just don't go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com, which is up here on the screen. Just get rid of the blog unless you want to go to the free blog. If you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com, you can enroll in 60 seconds. And within 2 minutes after that, you'll be able to log in and get instant access to all the training. You don't need to wait for me. You don't need to wait for anybody. It'll all be there, teed up, ready to go for you. Okay. Deshaun asks, what niche do you recommend starting out? I can't tell you what niche to start out in, but I can tell you how to discover your own niche and how to find your own niche, right? So there are really, number one, if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog and you type in niche, I have an entire post, an entire training, a video training, and an entire blog post dedicated to this. So if you want really specific details, go there. But as a general rule, there are 4 ways to develop your niche. You can develop it by equipment type, like vans, reefers, flatbeds, RGNs, that sort of stuff. Box trucks, cargo vans, things of that nature. You can do it by industry type, like the steel industry, the produce industry, the oil and gas industry, the building, bottled beverages, food, stuff like that. You can do it by geography, meaning, you're going to focus on the local Buffalo area, like how kind of when I first got started, or in your local geographical area, or in just a geographical area that you think will work. It doesn't have to be local. And then 4, you can use a hybrid, right? You can use a hybrid like I did. When I first started out, we focused on van freight that was originating in the Northeast. So in New York, PA, New Jersey, all the way up through New England. If the loads picked up in that area and went west or south on a van, that was our niche. That's how we started. Okay. And then we expanded into other types of equipment. And then eventually we expanded into other geographies. And that's how we grew. Okay. And so that's how you can find your niche. Now, depending upon your level of experience, then you probably may want to start with something that's a little simpler. My level of experience was nothing when I started. So I started with vans, okay, because they are probably the least complicated. But because they're the least complicated, they're also the most competitive, right? So there's pros and cons there. The most competitive might be something like heavy haul or over-dimensional freight, right? Where you're moving heavy equipment or you're moving, like I was driving down the road the other day and they were moving, what wasn't the other, maybe a month ago, and I saw a big wind turbine propeller being moved down the road. I mean, it was crazy. It looked like, it was 300 feet long. It was crazy. It was like 200 feet long. It was crazy. So those have levels of complexity, but I probably wouldn't recommend those to start unless you had some experience in that, right? Or you had a mentor that was going to help you specifically with that. Okay. So I hope that helps. Okay. Question from Jesus. What course would you recommend for someone that's just beginning your boot camp or your sales accelerator? Well, if you are just beginning and you are not a freight broker, or you are not a freight agent yet, I would recommend Freight Broker Bootcamp. Okay. That is my startup course. So that's where I would start. If you're already in that course and you're moving towards the prospects of becoming a freight broker, freight agent, you could choose to take the next step, which would be Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. If you're already a broker or you're already an agent or you've already went through another company's training or some sort of training and you feel comfortable with the startup phase, then you may want to enroll in Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. The Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is more advanced and it is specifically geared towards sales. We don't talk about load boards. We don't talk about your TMS. We don't talk about getting your authority. We don't talk about any of that. We only talk about, and I teach you and show you and coach you on my sales process, which starts with mindset, goes through filling your sales funnel, following up like a pro, closing the sale, customer development and retention, and leveraging technology. Those are the core components of my training. Now there are tons of things in between that, but those are the core areas. So I hope that helps. And if you want to get on the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator waitlist, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Okay, so I think that's going to wrap it up. Good questions, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the feedback on today's training. What I want to leave you with is this. If you are in freight broker startup mode, the most important thing you can invest in is the skills necessary to start getting your first shippers, because cash flow is like oxygen. Without cash flow, you'll get the same result as trying to survive without oxygen. Oxygen is life. Customers are life. So sales is the most important skill that you will have to develop if you want to be successful. That's why I put the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator together. I resisted putting it together for a decade. Okay. It took me personally over 100 hours to sit down and put this course together. Okay. And you get, I've been in sales for 30 years, almost 30 years. Okay. So you get everything I've learned throughout my sales journey, not only in freight brokerage, but prior to that and since then, and you get it in a package. It's kind of like getting the cheat code, right? It's kind of like getting the blueprint. It's like the layout, and you can literally tap into my brain for the last 30 years of success and failure in sales, and it's put into a system for you. Okay. So I can't make it any easier than that. So get on the wait list. If you're just looking to get started, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a huge favor. If you haven't hit the like button yet and you're still on the feed, hit the like button, no matter where you're at, LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever, and share the stream. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next week on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live.